Hello everybody, welcome to the I Am IT YouTube channel. My name is Shabazz Dan. As ever, I am the IT Geek. Welcome back to an episode in my Microsoft Cloud VDI series, where we've started deep into DevBox now. I decided to do DevBox the first sort of solution to talk about because it's probably the newer of the three services and solutions I'm covering. Obviously covering DevBox, Windows 365, and AVD. So I thought it'd be prevalent to probably cover this first. It's got a lot of development over the last 6 months. And I've used it recently in my work. I've used it deploying it to a few clients actually. So I really think it's a great solution. So hopefully you're enjoying it. So without further ado, let's get started with this episode. So as I mentioned, this is my Microsoft VDI, Microsoft Cloud VDI really, but it's a VDI series, virtual desktop infrastructure. So this is going to be part two of the key concepts for Microsoft DevBox. So we're going to cover DevBox definitions, network connections, and Azure Regions for DevBox as well. In the demo, we're actually going to configure the DevBox pools, so that should be interesting. So you might remember this image from, or this diagram, should I say, from the last, and I want to kind of focus on how, and what we're trying to explain in this key concepts is how Microsoft DevBox works, right? So we've talked about Dev Center, we've talked about projects, we've talked about definitions in the last episode. So what we're covering now in today is going to be those, sorry, we didn't cover definitions, we covered Dev Center and projects, and I believe we covered, what else did we cover? I think catalogs potentially. Anyway, we're going to be talking about definitions, network connections. You can see on the outside there. Then we'll talk about the sort of regions as well in today's episode. So let's talk about DevBox definitions first. So a DevBox definition specifies a source image and size, including compute size and storage size. And we saw that in the last demo where I created a definition. You saw that. We had to select that we had three options for the size and the image type as well. You select a source image from the Azure Marketplace or a custom image from your own Azure Compute Gallery instance. And DevBox supports client editions of Windows 10 and Windows 11 as we saw. And you can use DevBox definitions across multiple projects in your Dev Center as well. And we've covered that in the demo as well already. Let's talk about network connections now. Quite an important element, I suppose. Key concept as well. IT administrators and platform engineers configure the network they use for DevBox creation in accordance with their organizational policies. Network connections store configuration information like the Active Directory join type and the virtual network, the DevBox, and that DevBox uses to connect to your network resources. When you're creating a network connection, we did that in a previous demo already, you must choose the Active Directory join type. You can do obviously if a DevBox needs to connect exclusively to cloud-based resources, then use the native Entra ID. If your DevBox needs to connect to on-premises resources and cloud-based resources as well, so best of both worlds, you use the hybrid Microsoft Entra ID join. Okay, no different from AVD, right? No different at all. So let's talk a little bit about Azure Regions for the DevBox as well. So before setting up DevBox, you need to choose the best region for your organization. Very much depends on where you are geographically. You might be multi-region company, you might be multi-geographic, so where you're going to keep them. Dev centers and projects typically exist in the same region as the sort of main office or IT management center. Now, if you're going by, if you've set up your Azure tenancy using sort of CAF and Cloud Option Framework and well-architected framework, you will have a management subscription or like a landing zone, let's call it, right? It's a landing zone. That's probably the best place to put your dev center on your projects typically, because that's where your management happens. But then DevBox pools can be in a different region. It can be in different regions, and depending on the network connection they use. So developers should create DevBoxes from a pool close to them for least latency. So you could have, like I say, you'd obviously need to have a single dev center, but you can have multiple projects. But then you could have different dev pools connected to those projects in different regions essentially. The region of the virtual network specified in the network connection determines the region of a DevBox. You can create multiple network connections based on the regions where you support developers. And you can then use those connections when you're creating DevBox pools to ensure that DevBox users create DevBoxes in the region closest to them. And using a region close to the DevBox user is going to provide the best experience. So there we've covered three really key concepts. Some of them we've already covered in the demo, some we're going to cover in the future demos. So today we're actually going to, like I said, we're going to cover specifically creating projects. So without further ado, please join me in the demo. Welcome back. We are in my I Am IT Geek demo portal here, and we actually want to create the project. So we're actually going to go down to, I'm going to go to manage where we have our projects. So we're going to create our first project here. This is where you can have multiple projects. Again, it's got to be in the same location as your dev center. So let's go to create. And again, put it in the same. We're going to put it in the dev box RG, which is where everything else is. I'm going to select our dev center. Now let's give it a name. So I'm going to call it IT Geek project 01. Okay, and then description. I'm not going to put a description. You can if you want, but I'm not going to for the purpose of the demo. So here we've got some limits we can put in. So you can limit. It's going to allow you to restrict how many dev boxes each developer can create. This is all going to be dependent on your use case, right? If you've got developers working on multiple projects, and work streams, then you are going to need to you're going to have to potentially leave it yes, or put it yes. Sorry, you have to potentially leave it a no, but put yes and maybe limit them to say, okay, you know what, 5 dev boxes per user. And after that, they're going to need a business case to say, well, why do we need more, right? I'm going to be a Scrooge and say no more than 1 dev box per developer. But again, it all depends on your use case, right? Here we have catalog. So do you want to include deployment environment definitions? Yes or no? So if this project is in Dev Center, it's going to allow project level catalogs. So catalogs attached to a dev project. These permissions determine which catalog items are important. So we do want to leave out selected. We do want to include. We do want to use. No, do you want to use deployment environments? Yes or no? So we'll leave it tick because it's a default one. Tags, enter any tags and review and create. Right. So you can just click on create. Once that is created, we're going to go back and sort of check and show you what we can do with the projects, and we can maybe do that in the next demo. So let's just let this finish and then we'll come back shortly. Okay, so that deployment took around about 2 minutes, not too bad. But I want to go back into my dev center. I want to go to projects here. So here we have our project. We can actually select it here. And this is where we're going to be able to allow catalogs, so set the catalog permissions, set up project access, manage dev box pools, and add environment types. So this is what we're going to do in some of the demo coming up. And we can then look at settings and add identity for if you want to integrate with other services, look at our limits, look at our environment types, and we can manage our dev box pools. So got more to look forward to in the upcoming demos. Hopefully you've enjoyed that episode, as we've gone into a bit more detail around some of the key concepts. So we are going to continue looking at key concepts in the next video, because again, there's a lot to it, a lot to dev boxes, as you can see, and we're going to be covering I think dev box pools and dev boxes. So please do join me for that next episode. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Drop me a comment, drop me a like, and if you're not subscribed, why not? 20,000 other people are. So obviously why aren't you subscribed? So get smashing that subscribe button. Loads of useful links in the description. Follow me on Twitter and LinkedIn and stuff like that, and also a link to the Microsoft Learn content for DevBox. So thank you for joining me. Until next time, goodbye.